This video is part of the Trauma Informed Foundation series and it's titled What is Resourcing? So you may have heard me say in previous videos, make sure that you are well resourced before we talk about some challenging or activating topics, or before I've invited you to participate in a somatic activity. And what that means is to make sure that you feel supported. And resourcing is something that we establish before getting into the work together, especially with my one-to-one clients. And hopefully it's something that if you are doing some of this work by yourself, that you prioritize understanding what you need in order to feel well resourced. So like I said, it is about helping you feel prepared and supported to do the work that you want to do. And we can think of resourcing in three different categories. So we have internal resources, we have external resources, and we also have relational resources. And one of the activities that I always get my clients to do when I'm beginning to start work with them is to complete a resourcing menu, where I ask them to identify these different areas in their life and what resources in those areas look like. And we use these resources in order to help ground us in moments of activation or after moments of activation that allow us to come back into ourselves and into the present moment, and to recognize that we are safe, and also to kind of soothe and support the nervous system upon doing this kind of work. So it's a foundation to healing safely. That's what resourcing is. And I also do it at the start of each session with clients as well. So I ask them if they're well resourced. I ask them if they've got their menu in front of them, and if they can identify, what they would like to do for resourcing in this session or after the session. And that also links back to agency, giving you choice and you identifying what choices that you have for resourcing and grounding. I'll make a separate video on grounding as well. But let's talk about these three different areas. So the first one, let's talk about external resources. So external resources are things that are in your environment that you can identify, that help you feel comforted, that help you feel grounded, that help you feel at ease. So base physiological resources would include making sure that you have got a drink of water, you've got plenty of water available to you. Another resource is also, before coming into session, finding the clothes, the outfits that you like, that make you feel comfy and supported, and comfy and supported. Let's just leave it at that. So potentially your favorite sweater, your favorite sweatpants, your favorite socks, that when you put them on, they just make your nervous system go and feeling more relaxed and at peace. Another great resource is making sure that you have cushions nearby. And if you've got a favourite cushion, if you've got a favourite blanket, making sure that you're using that one, not just any old cushion or blanket. Looking around your room for things that help you feel supported, things that bring you that sense of peace and comfort and support. So potentially you have a nice plant in your room, or there's a space in your room that makes you feel good. There is a photograph or an object that somebody gave you, or something that you purchased for yourself that makes you feel like you, that makes you feel good in this moment. A clock or a calendar with a date on it can also be a good resource, identifying what today's date is, because as I've spoke about in previous videos, often the body feels like it is stuck in the past. So if we've got a watch with the date on, an iPad or a phone nearby, or our laptops if we're doing online sessions, and we can notice the date and we can notice the time, and that is also a good resource. As well as scanning our environment for things that make us feel nice. I've just noticed I've got some crystals and they make me feel really nice, and I'm surrounded by plants here as well. Is looking in your environment, whilst you're doing this, looking around in your environment and identifying what does not feel good. What don't you like that's in your environment, and is there a possibility that you can either cover that up or remove it, is also something that we don't typically think about, but there are things in our environment that when we pay attention to them, and we can sense something in our nervous system that's just a bit like, feels a bit off or feels a bit put about by that thing. And so it's really great practice that when we come into session to do this kind of healing work, that we are also identifying the things that don't make us feel supported and at peace, and seeing if we can put those things away, cover those things up, remove those things out of our environment. Other external resources also look like your favourite, most nourishing foods and drinks. So if you have a favourite tea, if you have a favourite food, can you ensure that those things are available to you before or after doing some work? Other resources also include, external resources also include music and television shows and movies, things that can really help, you feel like yourself again after doing work which has been quite activating. So that's just an example of some external resources. Internal resources also look like this takes time, by the way, and this is why working with a trauma-trained practitioner is also really advantageous, to help you find what resources you have in yourself, what activities that you have in yourself that help you to also find that sense of soothing and grounding in yourself. So exploring different breath techniques, exploring different somatic exercises, exploring different body scans or different postures. They're internal resources, different ways that we can hold ourselves. So whether that means like putting a hand on our heart is a good internal resource, or actually hugging our body. I've got a microphone on here, so holding and hugging our body, potentially stretching, different types of stretches. Exploring these different internal resources takes time, patience, practice, and often support. But we also want to have some of those internal resources. For me, it's coherent breathing. And another fantastic internal resource for me that helps me ground very quickly if I've been activated is to put myself on the floor and to have my legs up the wall. So being on a flat surface, hard flat surface with my legs up the wall can really very quickly ground and help me to feel very, very supported. But it takes time to experiment with these things and to explore it with support and with guidance, and to slow down enough to give and be patient enough with yourself to do that and find out, okay, this feels better than that feels not so good to me, so okay. And we're able from there to create this list of resources. And the third one is relational resources. So which people can we identify that help us to feel grounded, that help us feel safe, seen and heard? And which people can we co-regulate with? For many people that come and do this work, especially people that have had chronic relational stress, early developmental trauma, should I say, there might not be that many people available. And what I've found a lot with my clients is that the therapeutical relationship is that person. So the therapist is the person that they can have that co-regulation experience with, is the safe, secure person that is regulated, that they feel that they can go to, and that person is going to help them ground and regulate. This is a huge part of the healing journey, finding a therapist that you feel that you can have, that you really need to find safety and security in the relationship with the therapist. In counselling practice, it is actually the number one most critical part of the counselling relationship is the relationship between the therapist, the counsellor and the client. So identifying friends, identifying family, or identifying professional people that can act as this relational resources for you. And also something that's quite interesting as well, that comes with like TV shows and music and books even, although they are external resources. If there are occasions like where you can, if you've got a favourite character, if you've got a favourite actor or a favourite TV show, that actually we can also, those things also help for co-regulation. I've seen and heard a lot of people talk about that in the past as well. So resourcing, just to conclude, the resourcing is something that we try and establish before working together, even in the grand scheme of things, and also in session. We also check in with resources during sessions, and I ask clients to also resource and support themselves after sessions as well. And what this does is that it allows us to stay more in the present moment. It provides the body with a source of safety and comfort and soothing. It's not a distraction. It's not taking away from the work. It's actually supporting you and supporting your nervous system whilst doing the work. And it helps you to process and integrate what it is that you've been exploring. It helps the nervous system realize that it's not alone and that there is support available and that you're not just alone with all of your feelings and sensations, etc. So that's what resourcing is in a nutshell. It's not an extensive list. Everybody is completely different. I've just shared some examples today about my own experience of resourcing and also what I've experienced with my clients. Yours might be completely different to what I've said today, and that's fine too. But if you are curious and open and looking for support on your healing journey, and you'd like to know more about helping yourself resource and you want some professional support with doing that, my name is Donna Louise, and I'm a trauma-trained somatic practitioner, a functional breathwork coach, a clinical EFT practitioner, and also a trainee counsellor. And I help people like you to get out of survival mode, to restore their nervous system and to reconnect with themselves. So if you've enjoyed this video, please go ahead and give it a like. If you've got any thoughts, any comments, any questions, any concerns, please pop them in the comments box. I would love to hear from you and see if there's any way that I can offer support. And you can also find the link in the description to reach out and have a consultation call with me as well. Until next time, take very good care.